So I'm Terri Rahman, and I'm an integrative nutrition health coach. And I really focus on helping people optimize the health of their guts to be their best selves, really, as far as their health, and take control over their health. Okay. So I work with people, usually busy entrepreneurs, busy professionals who really want to optimize their health and just, do have a very good sense of health and know that they can have a lot of control over their health.
hmm So your main focus is, I'm also, it's very interesting for me too. Your main focus is gut health, or
Correct.
it's like more everything.
Particularly gut health. Okay, so I'm focusing on the gut health, which encompasses a lot. So it encompasses diet, it encompasses feeding the microbiome properly, exercise, getting your sleep, reducing your stress, being aware of your relationships, being aware of how your job affects your health, activity level, all those things contribute to gut health.
Okay, cool, awesome. So we'll go back to this, but first, can you tell your story? What's your path to where you are right now?
Sure, sure. So I had been a social worker for over 25 years. I really worked on case management services, helping the elderly and the physically disabled and the cognitively challenged. So I saw a lot of illness, in my career. And as I was going through my I had a big job change in 2015 where I went from working like 40 hours a week to working 50 to 60 hours a week. Okay, doing the same type of job but for a different company. And in that job, I became very stressed out and I was feeling really tired a lot and bloated and irritable, and I was getting chronic anxiety, and I was just not feeling well. And here I'm like, okay, I need to really make sure that I take care of myself so I don't become sick. So I focused on, okay, I'm gonna stop eating sugar, get the sugar out of my diet. I'm gonna stop eating refined grains, getting the breads out of my diet. But you know what? I was still kind of gaining weight. I was like 25 pounds heavier. And then I'm like, I just need to go to the doctor and figure out why I'm still so tired and why I'm gaining this weight when I'm hardly eating anything, right? So when I went to the doctor said, oh yeah, well, you have an underactive thyroid. That's your issue. And usually we treat this with medication. And once you go on medication, you usually go on it for the rest of your life. And I was like, no, I'm not comfortable with just covering up the symptoms of that I'm having with medicine. I want to get to the root cause of this. So I thanked the doctor, for her time, and I said, I'll get back to you. I'm going to do my research on this and see if I can do something on my own to reverse this condition because I wasn't going to take medicine. So it led me on to a lot of research. I went and figured out that I actually could reverse an underactive thyroid naturally. And I hooked myself up with an alternative medicine practitioner. Okay. And that was where I discovered that I could not only heal my thyroid issue, but that it was really an issue of gut dysbiosis and
Mhm.
inflammation in the gut. So my issues all were coming from the gut. So wouldn't it make sense then to heal my gut? And when I started working with a practitioner, I also learned that I had like all these food sensitivities. And here I thought that I thought I could eat anything. But but obviously I couldn't. I had 28 food sensitivities to healthy foods. Foods like coconut, eggs, watermelon, cantaloupe,
So what
rice.
do you mean? What do you mean by sensitivity? Like allergy or what?
Well, in, a sensitivity is different than an allergy. So a sensitivity is like you get some type of dizziness and you might
Hmm.
have some, and yeah, I was actually having semi-anaphylactic type of symptoms. Like I did get some throat swelling, but I wasn't sure what that was all about at times. So, and it would happen so infrequently. And when I went to the regular doctor for that, they could not find any type of allergy.
Hmm.
So that's when I hooked up with the alternative medicine doctor, they tested me for food sensitivities. And that is really a situation where food particles are getting into your bloodstream and causing an inflammatory
Hmm.
response where your immune system kind of goes awry and starts attacking, whatever
Hmm.
is getting into the bloodstream,
Hmm.
right? And that creates inflammation in the body systemically. Okay. So I was having all these type of reactions because my gut was leaky. They call that a
Yes,
leaky gut.
I've heard about it. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, and about 80 to 90% of Americans have this. They have no idea that they have it.
Yeah.
They have some form of it. And that's why they get all these ailments like sinus problems. They get allergies. They get
Hmm.
aches and pains in their joints. They get autoimmune disease. So it all starts really from the health of the gut.
You know,
So doesn't it make
yeah,
sense?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, sorry to interrupt there. It's just so, it's so
Yeah.
amazing that because I have to confess to you, if you talk to me just maybe I don't know, maybe a year ago,
Mm-hmm.
especially if you talk to me several years ago, I'd just dismiss you as, this, I'd say, she's crazy, I'd say, honestly.
Yeah.
And I'm embarrassed to admit this. Uh, but you
Mm-hmm.
close, sometimes it's like you think we all think that we got it all figured out. Like I would think of myself, I'm the progressive person. I'm like the science kind of
Yeah.
person. And
Yeah.
I believe in science, and this person is just making something up. This is what I would think
Mm-hmm.
before. But I am a little bit like you. I don't have a specific problem, but I exercise a lot. But as I get older, things happen, and when things happen, when things don't, you stop taking things for granted, and you start thinking about this stuff. You start doing research, and I'm also I do judo. I coach judo, and so I try to help people. And this is why also it's important for me to do the research so I can tell people the right stuff. And
Yeah.
I found out just recently. I found out all the things that you're telling me. Uh, Number one, that a lot of people are already sick before they even realize it, uh,
Mm-hmm.
because your body is pretty, it can adapt to things, but it has a cost, right? So, for example,
Yeah.
you can get rid if you eat sugar, you can get rid of your body can still get rid of the glucose in your blood, but the price that you pay is you building up the insulin resistance. For example, I didn't,
Mm-hmm.
and so your blood glucose could be completely normal, and your doctor could be telling you everything is fine, you don't have diabetes because your glucose is normal, yet that insulin resistance influences everything in the body. So I just found out that a lot most of the diseases, the modern diseases, like the non-communicable diseases, uh, you know, you wouldn't even think about it, like the Alzheimer's and the diabetes and the heart attack and the high blood pressure and all, even this like weird diseases that people would just like say, like you don't have there's nothing wrong with you, right? But yet there is something.
Right.
Like people would complain, and I know people like this will
Mm-hmm.
complain something is wrong with me, and the doctors don't find it. And
Mm-hmm.
all of this is linked to your metabolic dysfunction, right?
Right.
Which is caused by the diet that we have, and that food industry is probably carries a big blame for that. I don't want to blame it
Mm-hmm.
100% because I think part of it was just that we didn't know better. But
Right.
but a big part of it is that they did know. They did know, and they sponsored, and some of the research that told us lies was sponsored by the food industry because they wanted to make money and they wanted to sell their product.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's correct.
I'm just finding this out, and you're and everything you're saying, it's just amazing for me to think just a few years ago or even less than that, I would just dismiss this as crazy, but now I don't, I'm completely on the same page with you. And I
It's
admire
funny.
you. I admire you for, for like, because most people, they would just accept, they just like go to the doctor. Well, the doctor tells me to do this, and you kind of just accept it because what else? And then, but you know, it takes guts to to challenge to do your own research, right? And to kind
Yeah.
of go against the mainstream.
Yes.
And I think
Absolutely. Absolutely. It does. Um, you said a lot of things there, and I myself, if I heard myself talking like this too, I would have thought I was crazy too.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, me
But
too.
seriously,
Right.
seriously, because I'm a very logical person, and I'm
Mhm.
like, what is going on here? Why, and it was very eye-opening because I would have dismissed people like myself too. I know I have in the past because I'm like, what? And for example, I always thought I could eat anything.
Right.
I never even thought that it would be food causing because I was eating healthy food for the most part. And I'm like, how can healthy food create inflammation in my body? That doesn't make sense to me. But then as I got into the research and realized the reason behind it was when the gut lining gets torn open basically from the toxins that we're exposed to from
Mhm.
poor food, like too much sugar, okay, and too many refined grains and prepackaged foods and additives. And, then you not only in the food, but I mean, you got to think about what you're putting on your skin. You got to think about what you're using for chemicals as you're doing your cleaning in the home. What are you exposing yourself to in the outdoors as far as pollution goes? Mold is a big contributor for a lot of people. There's just endless toxins in our environment that contribute to an unhealthy gut. And we have to realize that there's really three main things that contribute to an unhealthy gut. Number one are toxins, okay? Number two are traumas, okay? And then number three are toxic thoughts, okay?
You know,
Because all those
I just want
three.
to interrupt you one more time,
Mhm.
because I just want to highlight for me, everything you're saying makes a lot of sense, but for a lot of people, uh,
Mhm.
I think it might be completely new. It might not make sense because number one,
Mm.
the gut is related to the diseases you would not expect the gut to be related to. Like for example, the brain, right, is influenced by your gut, and
Right.
now it's supported by science. It's not just something because the gut produces the hormones that go or neurotransmitters that go directly to the brain. But the other thing you said is that the things that you would not expect to influence your gut actually do that, like you mentioned, mold or something in the air or something in the skin, that actually influences your gut, and that is completely amazing. I don't think it's understood. The mechanism is fully understood by science, but those bacteria, the bacteria around us, they have their ways to get around. For example, how does the baby get the whole microbiome? It's getting it from the mom, but it's not getting it directly in the gut. The baby gets it through the skin, possibly. Or they even observe that people who have pets have different gut microbiome than people who don't have
Right.
pets. And the question is, how does that, how does a pet influence your bacteria in your gut? You're not going to be like kissing your pet, necessarily every time, right? But it's true. It's
Right.
confirmed by science that this is happening, and it's not completely understood what the mechanisms are yet. This is 100% true.
Mm-hmm. That is true. And antibiotics being given to children
Right.
contribute to the health of the gut. I mean, if when you take an antibiotic, you're not only killing off the bad bacteria, but the the good bacteria as well. And it's like an atomic bomb going off inside the gut. So now some of those microbes that are inside the gut are getting killed forever. Okay. And what the research is saying now is that we have 10 times more microbes in our body than we actually have of DNA cells. Now just think about that.
Yeah.
10 times more. So we're more microbes. We are more microbes than we are DNA cells.
Yeah.
So we have to
There's
really,
more microbes than
yeah,
cells in our body, right? Yeah.
exactly.
And then
So
there's
we need
more.
to
There's
be,
more. There's more. Guess what? I'm sure you know that even the cells of our body have a bacteria. There's some symbiosis with the mitochondria, right? Which is
right,
also a an independent entity. It has its own
hmm,
DNA, right? So
right,
so
right.
right there, they outnumber us because I think if I'm not correct me if I'm wrong. I think every cell could have more than one mitochondria, right? I think that's probably the case, but at least right there, it's one for one. And then
Hmm,
plus you got
hmm.
this whole gut microbiome, and then you have other bacteria in all over your body, right?
Exactly, right. And so when you're thinking about it, we're in a culture, we're so caught up in making sure everything is germ free, right? So we're putting hand sanitizers on our skin, and guess what? That's killing off our microbiome.
Yeah.
In fact, they're saying, that yes, it's good to be clean, but let's be aware of what we're doing as far as how much we're putting on. We have microbiome all over our bodies, right? It's inside our mouth. When people use mouthwash, they're killing off their microbiome. People
Hmm.
don't think about that, but it's actually not a good thing to be using, the Listerine, those kinds of
Right.
products out there that are killing off all of the bacteria in your mouth because you need a lot of those microbes. In fact, you're going to get better microbes in you if you eat a little bit of dirt.
Hmm.
Okay. So they say, like, for example, if you have a garden, and it's your own garden, you're not having it, exposing it to chemicals and stuff. But if you're eating a little bit of the soil from, like, for example, you're pulling a carrot out, it's okay just to brush it off and not to like scrub it and peel it
Hmm.
because that's where all the nutrients are, is in the soil. And so when you're eating that, you're going to actually populate the gut bugs even better and have a more diverse microbiome. And the more diverse the microbiome, the more you're going to live longer too. Is the research is what it's saying now. There's a big research saying that the more diverse you have in your microbiome, the chances are you're going to live longer.
Hmm.
So you want to like actually aim for like eating all kinds of plant-based fruits and vegetables. They say 30 to 50 different kinds per week actually to really have a diverse microbiome. So that's one of the basic things to remember to try to get a very diverse microbiome so that you can be the healthiest.
Hmm. So like you said, everything influences microbiomes. But when you make this discovery, what would you say was your main thing? Was it the prebiotics vegetables? Was it the probiotics fermented foods? Was it the exercise? Uh, was it just being aware of not eating the processed food? Was there a main thing, or did you just apply, or did you just and did you just go discovering these things like in some kind of order, or did you just like discovered it all together and started applying it all together? Was there like a progression, like where you first started doing this, and what do you feel was the
Yeah.
main factor?
Well, one of the main factors is food. So eating just real food and getting away from all of the toxic type of foods that are out there. So you don't want to, for example, put in the prepackaged foods with all the preservatives, the additives, you know, the refined oils that are toxic. the refined sugars, the refined grains. All those are going to create inflammation in the body. So if you eliminate those and just concentrate on eating real whole food, mostly organic, although you can get away with, not eating some organic food as long as you're not, for example, like a pineapple is sometimes not necessary to buy organic because you're not eating the rind of the pineapple, for example. Same with avocados. But if you're eating an apple, a lot of times you're eating the skin, and apples are sprayed heavily, right?
Mhm.
So you're wanting to, first of all, getting back in touch with what real food is. Okay, real food consists of, you know, fruits, vegetables, meats, and some whole grains. And I'm not actually big on the whole grains part of it because having digestive issues, I discovered that grains were not my friend. Okay, so they were creating inflammation in my stomach and throughout my body. So a lot of people don't realize that, and they eat the whole grains. But there's like a lot of good books out there for this kind of thing. Like Dr. Davis has a really good book on wheat belly, and
Mhm.
he talks about, yeah,
William
so he
William Davis,
talks
right?
about
William
wheat
Davis.
belly, yeah, wheat belly, and he's got some other another good book called Undoctored, where he tries to teach people, how to not become a patient.
Mhm.
And he discovered that his patients actually got better when they stopped eating grains. So it's just something to think about. Some people can eat grains, no problem, but if you even have any type of gastrointestinal issues, you may want to consider avoiding grains as well as the top allergen foods like corn and soy and dairy and eggs, peanuts, sometimes just nuts in general can be inflammatory and be a common allergen. So that is one of the main thing. Now, is going back to your question, the other thing is water intake, okay? Making sure you're completely hydrated. Most of us are not hydrated well. And water helps reduce the toxin load in the body. When you're drinking more and more water, helps get the toxins out, through your urine and through your stool. So that is huge too. So those two things, but then, then there's the probiotic types of foods and the prebiotic foods that are very, very instrumental in keeping your gut healthy. So the probiotics are things like your fermented vegetables, right? And your apple cider vinegar. Now that's one thing that can be easily added to your diet every day as an easy probiotic. Because it's the apple cider vinegar with the mother. That's the real important part of that,
Mhm.
right? So not just plain apple cider vinegar, but you want to get the mother, which is the fermented apple part
Mhm.
in the apple cider vinegar. So that's the probiotic part. But then also you've got your yogurts. But if you're sensitive to dairy, you might not want to do yogurt like that. You got to be careful with that. I was sensitive to dairy, and I was told to try the goat dairy products because the goat genome is closer to the human genome.
Mhm.
A lot of people don't know that, and they'll do better like on goat cheese rather than on cow
And it's probably
dairy.
healthier for you anyway.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, and then the prebiotics, really feed the probiotics. The probiotics are your bacteria, and you've got to have a lot of very fibrous types of foods to feed the probiotics. So your fibrous foods are like asparagus and Brussels sprouts and jicama and artichokes, and dark leafy green vegetables. So you're getting a lot. You want to think about feeding those gut bugs, the
Right.
the hap healthy, the good gut bugs you want to feed and avoid feeding the bad bugs, which are the things that love sugar that make you sick.
Uh-huh. Hey, Terry, so I love everything you're saying. I just again I just recently discovered all this stuff, and I'm just like
Mm-hmm.
so proud of myself that I just learned this stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
having just been on the other side, I can
Mm-hmm.
see how with everything you said and somebody is listening to it, I can still put
Yeah.
myself in that mind frame, and I can say, "Oh my God, this is so confusing." And it's
Oh,
impossible. I can't just have so many rules with my life, and how do I figure this out? So let's break it down a little bit for somebody.
okay.
I think for the for the benefit who is listening and trying to navigate this, to start, who is says, "Listen, I want to do this, but make it a little easier for me." So maybe we should break it down. Like, what do you start with? Like, what's the number one thing? And then once you get that, what's the number two thing? I mean, I would say, and you can disagree with me, but I would say added sugar would be the number one thing that and it's hard. It's hard. It could seem hard, but it's easier. I think it's easier than people think. It's just that it's like scary. You think like it's like a huge sacrifice. Like, what? I'm not gonna eat my my dessert, my cupcake, whatever that is. It seems like
Yeah.
a terrible thing, but it's really I think in it, well, first of all, do you agree with me that that would be the first thing to do?
Yeah, I would just say eat real food.
Right.
Okay, so when you're eating real food, you're eliminating sugar products, right?
So
You're eliminating all
you
that.
mean
So
by real food you mean not processed food, right?
exactly. So I'm talking about real food, meaning fruits, vegetables, meats, and
Mm-hmm.
if you want to include whole grains and dairy. But the thing with that is, when I say eat real food, it's getting back to nature, is what it's getting back to. So when you think of keeping it simple, you want to think of no processed foods,
Right.
no refined sugars,
Right.
no refined grains.
But
Okay.
right
So
there,
that's how I keep it
right
simple.
there, I see how some people will get confused, and I would be one of them, and they would say, "Hey, juice is a natural food." Yes,
Mm. Mhm.
that's, and you'd say, "You know what? I'm not gonna drink Coke. I'm gonna drink juice." And
Oh yeah.
it might be a little bit better because it has it. Coke doesn't have any vitamins. The juice probably does. However,
Right.
you're drinking the same sugar as you would be drinking as when you drink Coke, and that just completely outweighs all the benefits, and it's just harmful. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that. Absolutely. In fact, if you decide to drink any type of juice, I would just limit it to maybe 2 ounces because it's just so potent. It's just like if you drink an 8 ounce glass of juice, it's just like drinking soda pop, really. I mean, it has the same type of effect on the body as soda.
Right.
I mean, it really does. It really does. And the thing is, they're even seeing a lot of fatty liver disease in younger people
Yeah.
now, even in the teens. I think even I've even seen it as young as 10 years old, kids getting fatty liver disease because of all the sugar consumption. And juice definitely is one of those ones that I don't drink juice.
Right.
I don't. I stopped drinking juice years ago because yeah, it's just very inflammatory for the body. And it also feeds the bad bugs in your gut. And
Hmm.
so when you feed the bad bugs, they're like gonna populate more and make you even sicker, right?
Hmm.
So if you stop that from coming into the body, that'll be a great addition to your health.
Hmm. I mean, the way I explain the juice is a little different. I think
Okay.
it just provides it just creates an insulin spike, right?
Oh,
When
sure.
you have that sugar, it gets absorbed, and you have to produce insulin to to absorb all that sugar, and that contributes to the insulin resistance. In addition, the
Right.
fructose, it doesn't need the insulin, but it goes and it gets processed directly in the liver,
Right.
which they used to think is okay because it doesn't raise the blood sugar, because the blood sugar is the glucose, right? But
Right.
it turns out that you overwhelm your liver, and it's the same as drinking alcohol. Turns out. So basically, when you're
Yes.
eating, and it's um, and the reason I like to explain it that way is because when you start talking about sugar feeding the bad bugs, it becomes a little bit confusing, at least for me, because
Mm.
fruit is okay, and fruit has the same amount of sugar, but then, like, how do you explain why is fruit okay and juice not okay? And
Oh,
the
sure.
reason that I understand it is that the fruit has that protection. It protects that sugar from being absorbed right away. So now it doesn't get absorbed in your stomach like juice would. So it would first of all get absorbed a little slower, and then it would actually get absorbed uh, or get processed by the bacteria in the gut. So that part actually,
Right.
and actually that part about the bacteria, whether sugar is good for, whether there's some good bacteria that feeds on the sugar, or whether there's only bad bacteria, is a little bit confusing to me, because if you follow the logic with the fruit, you know that actually conducts the sugar all the way to the gut. Well, maybe there's different parts of the gut too, and so then it does feed the bacteria, but then it's supposed to be good, I think. So I don't know. That's
Well,
kind of like a little bit confused, because the other sugar gets absorbed right away, so it doesn't even get to the gut, right?
yeah. Well, with the fruit, you have so much fiber
Right.
in there, right? So when you think about juice, it's just the juice from the fruit in there. And if you have a glass of juice, let's say it's 4 ounces, that's like drinking 4 oranges. Nobody
Right.
typically eats
Right.
4 oranges at a time, right? Right? They'll eat one orange or maybe two, but they're not gonna get then especially when you're eating an orange, and the more when you peel it, the more that you can kind of leave on that pulpy layer, that actually helps because it has the fiber in it. So when you're eating that more, you're actually slowing the glycemic
In the
load,
right. Right.
the glucose spike, right? So, and that's what you're talking about, trying to limit those glucose spikes, because when that's a part of longevity too, right? You want to keep your blood sugar as low as possible. So even too much fruit, though, can cause people to have difficulties with their liver. So, if you're just going to go on an all fruit diet, that isn't probably going to be your best bet either,
Right.
because you're going to still expose yourself to way too much sugar. But it's really a matter of, having the fruits and the vegetables and the possibly the grains if you want the grains, and then the meats, nuts and seeds, the healthy fats. Those kinds of foods are real foods. And the thing with the food industry is I notice so many like nuts are just bombarded with like refined oils that are not healthy.
Oh, by the way,
So,
can you break
yeah,
this down for our
yeah.
listeners? Because for me personally, it's like when I hear this a lot, refined oils, but how do you know
Mhm.
which oils are refined and which oils are, because it doesn't say refined oil. It does. I don't think it usually says that. You just have to know, right? Is that true?
Right, right. So the way I look at it is there's just a few good oils out there that I will look for. One is extra virgin olive oil. Another one is extra virgin coconut oil, butter and ghee, and macadamia oil. Um, those are your cleanest oils.
Is there
But your
avocado? Avocado oil?
And avocado, yes, that's a very good one for cooking, especially at high heat. Yes, that's a very good one for cooking or baking at high heat. Yes, those are your usually your good oils. But the ones that you got to stay away from are your vegetable oils, your canola oils, your safflower oils. There's most of them are toxic, highly toxic, if you look it up. So, that's what I say, just to stay away from those. And you want to look for the ones that say cold cold expressed.
Hmm.
Okay.
Actually, that's I'm not sure about that because I think
The olive oil.
I think like for example olive oil. So olive
Hmm.
oil is one of the good ones, but you still have to be careful because it has to be extra virgin olive oil, right? When it says extra virgin, that means it has not been processed. Otherwise, it has been processed. And what I learned is that extra virgin specifically means cold pressed because you don't want it to be treated by temperature because once you heat it up, if you heat
Right.
something up if you heat up the thing that you're pressing the oil from, then you're breaking the chemical structure and you're getting something else. So that's part of the refinement. So uh, I think
Yes.
you want to get the good oil and you want it to be cold pressed. This is the
Yes.
right. Okay.
Yes. Yes. Exactly.
And I
And
think.
it's really to have fat. A lot of people, when they think about trying to lose weight, they think that they have to give up fat, but actually it's the opposite.
Mhm.
Those kind those healthy fats actually will help you lose weight and keep you satiated so you don't have the hunger pains when you're trying to lose the weight. And I discovered that years ago. I read Dr. Hyman's great book, Eat Fat, Get Thin. I mean,
Mhm.
it's really talks in there about getting that um, the metabolism stable again
Mhm.
by eating healthy fats and avoiding the refined carbs and the refined sugars,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Do you
that's I think really
do you
important.
fast? Do you fast too?
I have started fasting. I do a lot of intermittent fasting every day,
Mhm.
but as far as and intermittent fasting, I mean at least I go 14 to 16 hours of for my meals. So for example, I quit eating usually around 6:30, 7 o'clock at night for my dinner,
Mhm.
and then I don't eat again until maybe 10 or 11 o'clock the next day. So I got a nice intermittent fast. Sometimes I'll even go, to noon. It
Mhm.
just depends, on the time that I stopped eating in the evening. But
Mhm.
if you can go, even 14, 16 hours every day and only have maybe I only eat 2 meals a day. So that's how I do my intermittent fasting. And now I've just started to do like a 3-day water fast because I've learned the benefits of autophagy when it comes to having like a 3-day fast. And autophagy is like when your cells kind of clean themselves up and you allow the stronger cells to become stronger and they kind of like eat up the weaker ones, so to
Right.
speak. so
Yeah.
you so you become more resilient and it's just a great way to boost your immunity.
Right. 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 I heard a good analogy to explain autophagy. Like, let's say that
Yeah.
you're in a cold climate and they
Mm-hmm.
cut off the heat, and you need to start burning something in your house in order to produce heat. What are you going to
Oh
start
yeah.
burning? Are you going to start burning your favorite books, or are you going to start burning some useless books or maybe newspapers? Are you going to start burning good furniture or start with some kind of old furniture? And so
That's a good one.
if you know the answer to that one, that your body is really smart like that, and it's so when you go hungry, it says, "Oh, we gotta use something for fuel." And what is it going to use? It's going to use the bad stuff first, and that's how it cleans itself up. And another thing, I don't know if you know that. I'm sure you do, but I just learned that the fasting it's very healthy for the brain, and I
Yes.
think the way they started realizing that is when fasting stop people from having epilepsy, the seizures.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
somehow they noticed that being in a fasted state, it stopped the seizures. And so they realized there was some connection with the brain, and they started doing the research. And then they said, okay, ketones must be
Okay.
a better fuel for the brain, and it's healthy for the brain. And also that autophagy part, that cleaning up, is very good for the brain in preventing all kinds of mental and brain issues, right?
Right, right. Your mental clarity will actually peak when you do like a 3-day fast.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've even heard after 3 days, you can start rejuvenating your stem cells. So now,
Mm-hmm.
trying to go like 5 days of fasting can even be more beneficial.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really, you know, I think the key part though, when you're doing a longer fast like that, is to make sure that you are able to be fat adapted,
Mm-hmm.
which
Right.
means you are able to use fat as your fuel. And so you're not eating all the carbs, the refined carbs. You're really making sure you are able to go long periods of time without food. And the reason how you are able to do that is to become fat adapted.
Right.
So your body is relying on the fats for its fuel. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So just to repeat what you said and try to explain it for somebody who might not know, you might, for somebody who is not used to fasting, it might be really, really hard. And the reason is because your body doesn't know how to switch to a different fuel source. Your body is supposed to be
Right.
metabolically flexible, where if you don't have the regular food, you just switch to another fuel source, which is your fat, which every one of us has fat, even the skinny ones. But if your body has never done this, the body doesn't understand what to do. So it takes some time to train your body, and once it's trained, and you'll feel hungry, and after a short period of time, your hunger goes away because there is a switch, and you just switch to a different fuel source. And like you, I've tried fasting, and this is exactly my experience. That it was very hard in the beginning, but then
Yeah.
it's okay. It's a little craving, but it's not crazy.
No.
I did not venture more than 36 hours though. And
Uh-huh.
it's probably just because I'm still too nice to myself. But my excuse is that I exercise a lot. So
Mm-hmm.
I always just think, well, I'm sure I could do it, and I'm sure it's healthy, but at the same time, like I really exercise a lot. So, and
Mm-hmm.
so sometimes I think maybe this is the right balance for me, just not just doing the 16 hours every day, and occasionally
Mm-hmm.
like 24, 36 hours.
Sure. Sure.
But one
Yeah,
day,
I
one day
too
I'll try.
like. Yeah, I know. I'm considering it myself. Actually, I'm going to do a fast on September 14th. I'm going to do another 3-day fast with a group of people. And I'm going to challenge myself to do 4 days this time because I really want the benefits of the stem cell rejuvenation part.
Uh-huh.
I want to see what it's like, right? But I too, like you, you have to kind of take it easy when you are fasting, right? You can't exercise a lot, but you can still, take a walk
Yeah.
and do some gentle, maybe some yoga and stuff, or some like strength training. You can do some of
Yeah.
that yet.
Well, the
And
interesting,
I
the
have,
interesting thing that I found is that I grew up. See, we get a lot of ideas in our heads from the way we were
yeah,
brought up, from our culture, uh, and
all
they're just
right.
wrong. They're just wrong ideas, but they just stop us from doing things. So the
Yeah.
common idea is that you constantly need to replenish your energy with like sugar, with some Gatorade or something. But
Oh,
and it's like, so I used to be like thinking, okay, I'm going to do some exercise, so I need something in order to, but it's completely not true. And when I overcame that mental barrier, it's all in your head. Uh, I,
it is.
I can exercise when I'm fasted without any problem. I feel good. There's no problem whatsoever.
Good.
It's just that I haven't tried the longer fast because I feel good. It's just I'm thinking, well, I haven't figured out if what's the balance, when you really exercise a lot, I don't want to, I want to do something. I want to be sure that it's beneficial. Uh, you know,
Right. Right.
uh,
And exercise is so important, right? I mean, it's just like the one of the things that they say is the most important thing to keep people going
mhm.
because like Dr. Perlmutter, he's
I know him.
another neurologist, right? And very famous for the book The Grain Brain.
Yep.
And he says, the best thing you can do is to buy yourself a pair of sneakers and make sure you wear them and go for a walk at least every day for like 30 to 45 minutes. That might seem like a lot of time to some people, but if you think about it, I mean, you can incorporate exercise into your day by just doing things like vacuuming, mowing your lawn. I also have a kettlebell at home. So on the days where I don't necessarily feel like going to the gym, I can at least do my kettlebell. And if you do a kettlebell, I don't know if you've ever done one, Dimitri, but it is extremely intense because if you can do a kettlebell, like I'll do one of 35 pounds right now,
Hmm.
and you just swing it up and you can get yourself into elevating your heart rate within just a couple minutes.
Hmm.
And it's not only good for your heart,
Yeah.
but it's something that's very good for your legs and your
Yeah.
arm strength. So you're getting all three benefits by something that's so simple
Yes.
you can do in your own home. Because a lot of people say, well, I don't have time to exercise, and I get that. But I think you can find 5 to 10 minutes throughout the day and maybe do it a few times a day, you know, at home.
You know,
So,
I teach judo, and the judo is very hard. But guess you
yeah.
know what? You know what the hardest exercise is? I found out the hardest
Mm.
exercise for people to make people cry is the most simple exercise, squats.
Oh,
You you by the time you most people can probably do 10 squats, but I mean like good squats, like all the way down. Well, first of all, some people cannot get all the way down. They cannot. We lost people in the modern people are losing that ability. Uh, so
wow.
10 squats, after 10 squats, people start making faces and then they just suffer. And you think it's the simplest thing, but it does get the heart going and it's very hard.
Yeah, and that's a good point because too, when people say, I don't have time to go to the gym, I said, well,
Yeah.
just do some wall sits, do some squats.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, those are simple things, I mean, that you can do. And it's like you said, it's hard to do, but once you get in the habit of doing them, they're very, very effective.
So
Hmm.
let me ask you, let's switch gears a little bit. So how do you work with your clients? Do you have like a special method that is your method? Do you do some kind of assessment on every person?
Yeah.
How do you work?
Sure. So someone first would come and they would, complete a health history with me. So I have a form that goes over, ask them lots of different questions about where they're at. So I get a good sense of how they're eating, how they're sleeping, what medications they're on, what kind of history do they have as far as in their family goes, what kind of diagnosis are they having right now, what are their physical activity habits like, how are they doing with their work, and how are they doing with their stress management, what supplements are they taking. So I kind of go through that first with them. Okay.
Hmm.
And then if I would be a good match for them, then I would talk with them about, okay, this is what seems to be going on with you, and I would go over the 8 primary pillars that I focus on in my practice, which is number 1, let's start getting you hydrated properly. Okay, number two, let's get back to eating real whole food, helping your gut. That's number three, let's take care of the microbiome as much as possible. Number four, how are you sleeping? We got to make sure we address sleep because that's where the body repairs itself. If you're not sleeping the 7 to 9 hours a night, you're not allowing the body to repair itself. So that's very key. And then the other thing is, how are they exercising? We take a look at the exercise, incorporating physical activity into their day. How are they dealing with the stress? Okay, so we examine that. Okay, and then we take a look at their supplements. What kind of supplements? Now, a lot of people, I can't recommend like always, take this supplement or this supplement, but there are some basic ones, like a good multi is typically good. Fish oil is typically good. A probiotic can be good depending on the person, but I'd be careful with that one. And then magnesium a lot of times is a critical one that people are just not getting. And magnesium, it's just like the miracle mineral. So I do love magnesium, and it's very good for helping people with anxiety and sleep. If those are issues, that is a really good one to take, as well as for digestive issues. And then the last thing I look at is their relationships, right? I examine with their relationships, because toxic relationships can be just as harmful to people as food, right? Mm-hmm. So if you're surrounding yourself with a lot of negative people that you're not just getting along with, that is very inflammatory. And so we have to address those kinds of things and how you're going to navigate those types of relationships. Some you can let go, right? But there are some that you might have to find a different way to navigate that relationship. So we're talking about, mindset too. So a lot of the work that I do with the people is really getting the mind right, as far as like, why would I want to eat healthy? Figuring out why. That's really, really important, because my why is going to be a lot different than somebody else's why. Like for myself, I have a ton of reasons why I want to be healthy. And one of the key ones is I want to live at least into my hundreds without any functional problems. I want to keep walking, and I don't want to burden my daughter with having to take care of me ever. Ever. So that's my big why, but it's really important for people to figure out why they want to be healthy or why they should. So I help them get in touch with their why, and then help them develop a plan over a 6 months period of time, usually, where I'm working with them one-on-one for about an hour per every 2 weeks, to kind of coach them on what they want to work on next. So for example, let's say the person, their diet is really, really bad. We might first start out with getting rid of the sugar the first 2 weeks, okay? See how that goes. If after 2 weeks they're able to take another step, let's incorporate, making sure we get in the amount of water. But I'm going at a pace that they are comfortable with, because if the brain does not like change, right, it really resists change. So I have to be careful on how quickly that person can handle the change, okay? So, yeah, and the quicker they want to go, the faster they're going to get to where they want to be, right? The faster they're going to feel better. So it's really up to that individual, though, from how they want to go from A to Z, like how quickly they want to go. But I do know that a lot of people, including myself, have a hard time with changing their habits right away. And so that's what I do, is I provide that accountability to them, and kind of that hand holding, like, okay, let's do this together and collaborate what makes the most sense for you, where you're at, where to start. So if it's with the diet, or if it's with the exercise, or if it's with the reducing the stress, whatever it is, that's where we start, and we work together. So there's never me telling the person what to do, but what it is that they want to accomplish, and I'll present the options if need be. A lot of times they know what to do, they're just not doing it.
Hmm. I completely admire what you do, because I I try to do that with the people that I care about, and
Yeah.
I constantly fail at that. And I think the reason why is because it's hard for me to, and even now as I'm listening to you, it's hard for me to understand people, because
Mm.
what you're saying, everything you're saying, and everything we just talked about, it's pretty simple. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be complicated. Yes, it can get complicated, but you can start with very simple things, which it's not rocket science, like quitting sugar, right there, exercising. If you just do those two things, and then you just add those little things, other nuances, and listen, like if you don't follow everything 100%, that's okay. If you do most of it, you're gonna be
Yeah.
fine. It's so simple. So the question is, so in my mind, you don't have to be a psychologist or a rocket scientist to understand
Mm-mm.
that. So the question is
Mm-mm.
why, like I don't need it personally, right? I don't need it. I have this thing that I'm not going to go to any coach. I don't need a therapist. Because why? Because I I I understand. I'm capable of understanding this, and I'm capable of implementing this myself.
Right.
Now, so it's very hard for me to understand. Uh, so then, when with the other person, like my mindset is like, okay, if I just explain it to them, that should be sufficient. But then I find out that it's not, and it's
Mm-mm.
very and it is frustrating to me because I don't understand. Like I just told you, I just explained to you, and you know what this sugar is doing to you. You know what not
Yes.
exercising is doing to you. uh you know let's figure out, why are you choosing. And I think it's a choice too, because people will say, well, it's so hard for me, it's so hard for me to quit my habits, whatever it is.
Mm.
It's all comes out to like this addiction thing, right?
Yeah.
And they say,
Yeah.
oh, I cannot quit, but I know, I'm
Mm-mm.
very sure that yes, you can. And I always say, it's
Mm.
up to you. If you really want to, you can do it. And people
Mm-hmm.
will argue and say, no, I cannot. And I say, yes, you can, because I know examples that when you actually get sick, when you actually get diagnosed with something nasty,
Mm-hmm.
most of the time you will quit. So why do you want to
Right.
wait? Why do you want to wait? If I'm telling you, it's coming.
Right.
That scare is coming. And if
Mm-hmm.
you get scared, you will quit, because the majority of people
Mm-hmm.
quit. Why can't you do this now? Okay, so this is like my speech, and 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 I fail because people still are not, they're not doing it, and I'm like, I don't understand. What do you do? What is
Mm-hmm.
your answer to that?
Yeah, and that's exactly what a coach does, is it helps people replace those negative habits with healthier ones. So a coach concentrates on the habits, okay, and helps that person with those habits. Let's talk about the habits you've gotten into. For example, a lot of people have a really bad habit of staying awake up until 11, 12 o'clock at night, right? And they have to get up at 6 in the morning. That doesn't allow the body sufficient sleep right there. So how are we going to break that habit? So we talk about having a bedtime and reserving enough sleep, for you to get a good night's sleep at night. And what kind of routine are you going to have to kind of settle the mind down? Because a lot of people don't know how to settle their mind down, like through meditation or journaling or yoga or deep breathing. They don't know those techniques. So that's where, we talk about those things, about getting a routine in place. Having a sufficient morning routine is extremely important for your nighttime sleep.
Hmm.
Okay. Having other routines, like in the morning, for example, like I'll get up and the first thing I do after I use the restroom is I'll make myself some warm lemon water with salt, and I'll drink that first in the morning because that's not only good for my liver, but it's giving me a really good amount of hydration right away off the bat. And when you're sleeping at night, you are getting dehydrated. So that just is automatically a win for the day, right? It
Mm-hmm.
sets myself up for my brain, not only my gut, but for my brain as well. So then after that, then I go and work out. Okay, another win for the day because you're getting that blood circulating, you're getting that brain working. Okay, a lot of people will also meditate in the morning. I like to do that at night, but a lot of people will do that in the morning too to kind of set their intentions for the day. Okay, so and finding joy throughout your
Mm-hmm.
day is also really important, right? Find
Yeah.
something that makes your heart, smile throughout the day, whether it's talking with a friend or a loved one, or it's just singing or dancing or doing something that you really love. Um, so, so a coach really just helps people look at where their habits are. And a lot of people do this too. A lot of people will emotionally eat. So they're trying to feed some type of emotion with food. And so I will take a look at that and say, how can we feed that emotion with something other than food?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how can we feed that emotion? How can we just sit with that emotion and figure out how we can actually just deal with that emotion too? Like
Mm-hmm.
the Sedona method is a really good, useful tool that I've been educating my clients about. I don't know if you've heard of the Sedona method,
No.
but it's like a first step, easy thing to do with emotion. So if, let's say you're having some type of a negative emotion in your life. Let's say it's anger or fear, powerlessness, resentment, loneliness, whatever it is. Your first question is, can I welcome this feeling in? So you're just sitting with it and say, can I welcome this feeling
Mm-hmm.
in? And then the second question is, you say, would I be, or could I let this feeling go? Can I let this anger go?
Mm-hmm.
Then the third, if the answer is yes, you go to the third one. And the third one is, will I let this go?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then if the answer is yes, you go to the fourth one. And this is when. And hopefully you say now. You want to let it go now. So what you go, and this Lester Levinson was the one who developed this method years
Mm-hmm.
ago. And it's just a really easy tool to get people to go from a negative emotion to letting it go right away. And
Mm-hmm.
then it doesn't preoccupy their brain for the whole day. Because you know
Mm-hmm.
how emotions, people can get into these negative emotions and it can set them off for the entire day. But the quicker you're able to get from A to, D here, like through these four steps, the easier let things go,
Mm-hmm.
right? And when people can let go of those negative emotions, they can do they can get farther in the world and they can be much more productive and have more energy for the things they enjoy.
I'm smiling because when you started describing this method, I thought, oh, I'm actually using that method, except I stop at the first one
Oh,
because and I call it embrace the suck.
embrace yourself.
No,
Okay.
embrace the suck. Embrace the suck. When something sucks, when something is bad, you embrace it instead of
Oh, embrace the
rejecting it.
suck.
Yeah,
Okay.
instead of because if you can't help it, let's say something hurts, and and you
Mm-hmm.
can't help it, so you could sit
Right.
there and feel sorry for yourself and cry, or you can
Mm-hmm.
change your mindset and say, you know what, this is actually good for me. I'm going to welcome this. I'm going to welcome this as a challenge, which helps me become a better person. And you know what?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna open myself up to this pain, and I'm just gonna accept it. I'm gonna embrace it. In other words, embrace the
Yeah.
suck.
Yep.
And I stop right there. I don't go to the other ones, and and maybe that's why I fail with people, because you know, people, I guess, don't like it or don't get it. Uh,
Yeah.
but or they misunderstand it because they think embracing the suck means you're like a masochist. But I'm saying no, I'm not. It's not like I look for the pain. But
Right.
if there is an unavoidable pain, if I cannot
Yeah.
avoid it, instead of fighting it, I let it. I say, you know what? I think it's good for me, and I convince and I change my
Yes.
mindset. And then we know everything is about in your mind, just like you said. I love what you said. It's all in your mind. Like you as a coach, you have to work with the mind,
Yes.
and it's whatever you know. It's whatever your mind decides. It's really hard to believe it. You just have to, unless you do
Mm-hmm.
it. It's just like you can convince yourself that you don't like sugar, and even if you like sugar, but if you just think about all the bad diseases it causes, right? And every time you look at it, you bring up that image, you will change your mindset, and you will convince, and you will actually be, it'll be repulsive to you, right? And
Oh,
and
absolutely.
right, and
Hmm.
conversely, something that is unpleasant, if you just uh, change your mindset and you just repeat to yourself how good it is for you, you can rewire your mind to think to actually enjoy it, and it works
Absolutely.
if you just give it a try. I think it's all about mindset.
And the important thing to remember too is this. People do get addicted to sugar, okay? And what happens with this, it's a brain thing. So when people eat sugar, like refined sugar, it activates the
Yeah,
amygdala part of the brain, right?
yeah.
And that's your pleasure seeking part of your brain. So each time you activate that, it's going to say, "Oh, I want more of that." So the thing to do is to stop activating that part of the brain by not giving it that. And then what that allows for you to do is to use this part of your brain, the prefrontal cortex, much better, which is responsible for planning and your executive function. So you're going to want to feed it more healthier foods like the fruits and vegetables so you're not activating the amygdala so much.
Hmm.
Okay, so that's where the addictions form, like people who get addicted to soda or to alcohol, to drugs. They're activating that constantly, that amygdala.
Hmm.
So stop. We gotta stop
Right,
that.
right, right.
Stop activating the amygdala and concentrate on putting things in that don't activate it. So
Hmm.
you're talking about getting back to the real whole foods. Like for example, myself, I can look at now, whereas before I couldn't. But right now, I could look at a chocolate cake and I have no desire to eat it. No desire whatsoever to eat it. Now, that wasn't me 8 years ago when I had to, have a little bit of sweet after every little meal. But now it's like, no, why do I
Right,
want to put that into my body?
right.
Because I want my body to be a Ferrari, not
Yeah,
not an old beat up vehicle.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know?
I'm the same way.
Hmm.
I'm the same way. I mean, I'm still,
Yeah.
it's still, I will, if I allow myself, I will enjoy. I think I'm capable of enjoying something sweet. But I will do it on a now, right? And it's very recent for me too, by the way, right? I will, but sometimes I notice, like, I just look at people and just eating all kinds of crap, and I
Hmm.
just have this. I feel sorry for them. I'm like, don't you realize what you're doing? And I
Right.
feel like when I see that contrast, like, let's say I'm fasting, and then I
Yeah.
walk by somebody and they just, like, eating all kinds of really, really bad stuff without even realizing, how bad it is. And
Right.
I just feel very sorry for them.
Right. And the thing with that is too, when they're eating that, it's creating so much inflammation in the body, right? And that's leading to like things like diabetes and
Right.
Alzheimer's disease. And I am such a big proponent of preventing that. I do not
Right.
ever want to get that, right? So I am so focused on preventing those diseases, that's my
Yeah.
why. That's why I do what I do. And that's what I hope to inspire other people to do too, is to be really mindful of what choices you're making every day that are going to either add to your health or subtract from it. Because
Yeah.
we can do both, right?
Yeah.
Food is either medicine or poison. It's pick your one.
Yeah. Good food is made. So, I forgot if I mentioned this to you, like, Dr. Lastig, right? Dr. Robert Lastig, right? I think we talked about,
Yes.
yeah. So
Yeah, 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 for
that's
sure.
what he says, good food is medicine, bad food is poison, right? And
Absolutely. Absolutely believe
that's exactly
that. Hmm.
it. Terri, it's been a great pleasure talking to you. I'm sorry I kept you such a long time. Tell
Oh, that's
tell can you tell us how can we find you? I'll put all
sure.
information. I'll put all information in the description, but just
Okay.
say it as well.
Sure.
How do people find you?
Sure. Sure. I'm at territotalhealth.com. So TERRI.totalhealth.com. And I can be reached there. You can just go to my website. And if you want, you're welcome just to take a look at it. And I do have a free junk food cleanse that you can download and do that. Also, if you do want like a complimentary consultation, I do offer that just to get you started. Okay, so if you want to talk about just like, okay, where am I at? I can just, help you just to get you started. And then if you want to learn more about me, I can offer you, assistance that way. But I just want you to know that I do offer that complimentary consultation because I'm very just passionate about people just getting started with it. Because once they get started, a lot of times they can go on. They might not even need a coach, right?
Hmm.
But if I can just provide that little bit of inspiration to them just to get them started, then I know that I've done my job.
Which insurance do you take?
I actually don't take
I'm just kidding.
insurance, unfortunately. I wish, I wish I was set up for that, but I don't. But my rates are posted on my website too,
Oh, okay.
so
I'll
they
check it
can.
out because I was going to ask. I was just curious how do you work? You charge by the time that you spend with the client, or is it? But I guess I can find all this out in your website.
Yeah, sure, but I do charge per coaching package. So I have a 3 month and a 6 month. The 3 month is really just to get you kind of started again,
Mhm.
But the 6 month is where really the magic happens, I always say, because, it takes a good 6 months for the body to really get in a lot of the
Mhm.
habits needed.
Mhm.
But some people can do it within three, depending on where they're at. So that's why I offer the 3 month.
Mhm.
But for people who are just needing that really like they want to reverse something. Let's
Mhm.
say it's a thyroid issue or it's arthritis or something, major. It's going to take time. It took me like over a year to get myself back to
Yeah.
baseline, So it takes time. It takes time for the body to adjust. And especially if you're working full time and you're stressed out a lot, it's
Yeah.
going to take more time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. I hope we there's more that I want to talk to you about. So I want to let you go
okay.
now, but for example, one thing in the future. We haven't talked
Mhm.
about kids much, and I noticed in your LinkedIn you say you work with kids too, or
Mhm.
you have worked with kids, right?
Oh,
And
yes.
that's another like an important area for me. I know I'm a parent too, and I coach kids, and
Yes.
that's just a whole new um, area because now you have to work with the kid and with the parent. And how do you get the kid to understand all this stuff, right? That's hard enough, but
Right.
then you probably have to start with the parent, and right there, it's a challenge. And how do you deal with all
Yeah.
the there's like all this like social, cultural, and psychological issues that you have to um, deal with. So but let's
Yes.
leave this. Let's leave this. Maybe we can touch on this subject later, or just go like
Oh, I'd love to.
more in depth on any one of those areas, like, just like the fermented foods and the probiotics, that's like an area in itself. And then exercise is another area. So there's so much things. I think it starts pretty simple. It's pretty common sense, like, just like you said, just don't, people don't need, you don't need a, gym membership. You can just do jumping jacks,
Yeah. Yes.
just it's important. I
Hmm.
think it's important to just do stuff, right? Stop thinking, start doing, right?
Right.
That is
Yes.
very important. It's very simple. But
Yeah.
then once you get past the simple stuff, then there's so many questions, and there's so many, like, and even like science just comes up with new stuff as we speak, because our body is so complex, and we
Right.
don't have all the answers. Oh, give me 1 second. I have a guest on our podcast. Come on, come on. This is my daughter Carmen.
Hi, Carmen. Nice to meet you. I'm Terry. How are you doing tonight?
Good. Не сбей телефон, пожалуйста.
Good. Good. How old are you?
8.
8? Wow.
8 and
She's
And what is something,
a
huh?
recovering sugar addict. Recovering sugar addict.
Recovering sugar. Okay, that's wonderful. So you're going to give up sugar, right? Eventually,
She doesn't know it
you
yet,
realize
but she is.
that sugar is not our friend. Sugar is not our friend. You know what? If you really want to know more about what it does to your brain, Dr. Daniel Amen is a really good doctor to listen to, because he will tell you exactly how sugar affects your brain. And he has a really good program, by the way. I think it's called Thrive by 21 or something like on that order. But it's really about making sure you're protecting your brain, because if you want a good life ahead of you, you need to use your brain to make decisions in your life, right? It's in charge of everything. So the better brain you have, the better life you're going to have. So that's why it's so important to avoid sugar, because sugar damages the brain. So that's why it's so important to not have sugar. So we protect it as much as we can. And people are going to want to throw sugar at you everywhere, in the world. And you have to be smart about it and be like, oh yeah, that's not my friend.
Yeah.
But if you're eating things like a fruit, now that's nature's candy, right? It's a different type of sugar. So that is good. But that's just one of the things that you can think about, protecting your brain.
Got it? Yes?
Does that make sense?
You have anything
Does that
to
make
say,
sense
Carmen?
to you, to protect your brain? Just like you want to protect your whatever's important to you. If you have, your dad, you want to protect him. Who's ever important to you, you want to protect them, right? So you want to start with yourself, protecting yourself, so that your cells are going to be strong enough to fight any disease. They're not going to want to mess with you because you're going to be so strong. They're going to be like, nope, I can't live here. I gotta go find somewhere else to live. So, does that make sense?
yeah, but
Does that make sense to you?
it's not that easy to, like, for me to get away from the sugar, because I love sugar.
Oh, I know. I used to love sugar too. But you know what I've learned to do? I've learned to change my love into things that love me back. Okay? So sugar doesn't love me back. Sugar hurts me. Okay? So I learned to love things that love me back. So, like, for example, you can still have maybe, like a fruit that's nice and sweet. Now that can become your sugar, right? Or you can make things.
Could I, like, have, like, banana with
Peanut butter?
peanut butter?
Oh, that sounds delicious. Yeah, absolutely. That sounds really delicious. Organic peanut butter though, because the peanuts are sprayed pretty heavily. So you gotta buy the organic, just the real peanuts, in the banana. Yeah, that sounds delicious. Yeah, find those things. And there's, you know what? There's a lot of good recipes like on Pinterest that have healthy things you can make. I actually make a chocolate cake that's healthy.
I
You
wouldn't
can
know
go on
that.
my website and look at that if you want. If you go to my website, it's on there. It's called Crazy Cake, and I make it healthy. So you can make a cake healthy and it'll taste, good. So you do, but it won't have the sugar in it and it'll still taste good. So that's what I try to teach people how to do, is to make things that are still good, taste really good, but they're healthy at the same time.
You know what, Terry? We recently made our own kefir.
Did you
Yeah,
really?
and she liked it, right, Carmen? You like the kefir that I made?
Oh, you liked it? Good for you. So that's a great idea, to figure out how you can make your own foods healthy and experiment. Yeah, you can have a lot of fun. You can have a lot of fun making your own food. And you're making pickles? You could make pickles too.
We can do
Or celery.
like a cake with fruits, with only fruits.
Yeah, like almond flour, right? You can make cakes with almond flour and you can make muffins. I make for my daughter's 17, and I made her for her first day of school recently some peanut butter muffins. They're made no flour, but they're made with bananas and peanut butter and eggs and vanilla and a little tiny bit of stevia. So there's just a little bit of stevia in there, but you could omit it. But it's things like that, and turning something good. And you can actually add, if you wanted, like some cocoa nibs or some chocolate chips that are not sweetened, like 100% unsweetened chocolate chips could be good in there too. So, yeah, just to give you an idea. You can have fun with it though. So don't think of you have to give up all these good things, because you don't. You don't. I'm living proof. I've learned to change things around where I can eat really good food and have it taste good. But the other important thing to do is remember, is when you love food, think of something else you love even more than food that you can fill. Like maybe you love to color, or maybe you love to ride your bike, or what is it that you love to do, Carmen?
I love to do judo. It's a sport.
You can. Okay, yeah. So if you love to do judo, you do judo and fill that love with judo and the activities that you love, rather than resorting to food
And
to fill.
I like playing. It's a game called Sleeping Queens. It's my favorite game. I love games.
It's a card game.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds fun. And you play that with somebody else?
With my dad or with my mom.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah. So you're playing and you're connecting at the same time and having fun. Well, isn't that beautiful? Because, connection, just talking with other people, that fills your soul, right? That fills your soul. So that's what we want. We want that soul to be fueled with people and connection and growth, right? So that's really important. Sounds like you got a great head on your shoulder. You're gonna do well.
Terry, you're awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much. It's been
You too. Thank you. Okay.
So
Okay.
let's let Terry go. Say good night.
Good night.
And
Good night. It was nice meeting you, Carmen, too. Thank you, Dimitri.
cool. Send me all the info that you want me to put in the description, and I'll talk to you.
Okay.
Talk to you soon.